While I was burying my baby, my parents were dancing at my sister's party. While I held Marcus's cold little hand, they were busy checking the playlist for Katie's birthday. The funeral was on a Saturday, but my parents didn't come because they had already paid for the venue. They didn't tell me crying. They told me like someone canceling a reservation. That day, I buried my son, and also my parents. I always knew Katie was the favorite. I understood that since I was a child, I was never jealous, just aware. She got hugs, awards, cameras following her every step. Me? I picked up plates after her parties. There was literally a shrine in the living room, a shelf with LED lights, her high school diplomas, a Best Smile medal from preschool, and even a plastic crown with her quinceañera date, all framed. I didn't even have photos. One time I found one of my drawings in the trash. My mom said she threw it away because it had sad colors. That day I learned to stop showing things. When my wife told me she was pregnant, I didn't know whether to scream or cry. My hands were shaking. We called her parents first. They screamed, cried, hugged us. Then I called mine. My mom said, "Has Katie heard yet? I'm sure she'll be happy." Not even a congratulations, not a "how are you feeling?" Just Katie. We went to tell them in person. My dad barely looked up from the television. My mom cut us off to show us the dress catalog for Katie's wedding. It felt like announcing a pregnancy during a laundry detergent commercial. When Marcus was born, it rained like the sky was scared too. He arrived 3 weeks early. We rushed to the hospital with no diaper bag, no suitcase. I was shaking more than my wife. My in-laws arrived in 20 minutes. They brought bags, food, blankets, strength. My mom came 4 hours later. She looked annoyed, said the hospital smelled like cheap bleach, and asked if she could leave already because she had a manicure appointment. My dad didn't come. He had a meeting. It was Saturday. She left before they even finished processing her as a grandmother. She literally signed in and was saying goodbye 15 minutes later. I heard her tell a nurse that not all births are special. For the next 8 months, my wife's parents helped with everything. They came every weekend, brought hot meals, washed clothes, held Marcus while he slept. My father-in-law built a crib with his own hands. My mother-in-law cooked for a whole month so we'd only have to reheat food. My parents came 3 times. One time, they brought an old stuffed animal, not even wrapped. It had mildew stains and made a weird sound when you squeezed it. Another time, they came just to talk about Katie's wedding. "So, have you decided what you're wearing for that day?" My mom asked while Marcus cried from colic. The third time was more absurd. My dad brought a box of centerpiece decorations. He wanted us to help make some prototypes because Katie was stressed. My son had a fever. My wife was crying. And they were talking about napkins with gold trim. That day, I understood Marcus wasn't their grandson. He was just a footnote, an asterisk in Katie's story. And me, their son. I was still just the extra. The one who shows up in the end credits as the main character's brother. We wanted to baptize Marcus on Saturday the 14th. A simple, intimate ceremony with the people who truly loved him. We planned it with love, not for religion, but as a symbol. A way to give thanks that he was still with us after being born premature. We invited everyone, including my parents, out of courtesy more than hope. Katie was turning 30 that weekend. 30. It wasn't a wedding or a farewell or something once in a lifetime. Just a party with a gala night theme and a live DJ. But for my parents, it was the event of the century. When we told them about the baptism, my mom sighed deeply. That sigh that comes right before a disappointment they don't even bother to explain. "That can't be that day, son. We already have everything ready for Katie's party." My dad added, "It's easier to move a baptism than an adult party." They said it like Marcus was a vase. Like baptizing him was something you could just improvise. They didn't even ask how he was. They only mentioned they had paid for the garden, the inflatables for the kids, the saxophonist for the entrance. We told them we wouldn't change the date, that it was an important moment for us, that they could come for a few hours to the baptism and then go to the party. "It's not that simple," my mom said. "There are commitments with the guests, with Katie's in-laws. We don't want to look bad." And what about their grandson? Didn't it matter to look bad to him? That day, my wife cried silently while ironing Marcus's white clothes. I just opened a warm beer and sat on the floor, trying not to hate them too much. We never talked about it again. We didn't argue. We just left their messages on read. But Marcus didn't wait for the baptism. 3 weeks earlier, he started with a dry cough. Nothing alarming at first. A pediatrician said it was viral. But within hours, his temperature rose to 102 degrees Fahrenheit, 39 degrees Celsius. Then he stopped drinking milk. His breathing became irregular. His skin started to turn pale. We rushed to the hospital at 2 a.m. My wife in a robe, me without socks. Marcus was shaking like a little bird in the rain. In the ER, they told us what no parent wants to hear. We have to admit him, it could be pneumonia. In less than 24 hours, he was on oxygen, given antibiotics, and completely sedated. I was in shock. My wife talked to the doctors as if she'd been doing this for years, though inside she was falling apart. I called my parents. I wanted them to at least know. They answered from a mall. Mariachi music played in the background. "Is everything okay, son?" I told them Marcus was hospitalized, that it was serious, that we didn't know if he would make it through the night. My mom replied, we're just looking at the tablecloths now, but hope everything goes well, okay?" And she hung up. No questions. No promise to come. Nothing. Marcus was connected to tubes, and they were choosing whether the napkins should be lilac or pearl gold. Marcus died on a Thursday, at 5:48 the morning. It was so silent that not even the machine beeped. He just stopped breathing, as if his little body no longer wanted to fight. My wife held him in her arms, still asleep, still warm. When she realized something was wrong, she screamed with a desperation that broke my bones. She screamed so much she lost her voice. I couldn't say anything. I just stayed there, watching, as if my soul had fled before his. The nurse ran, pressed buttons, brought doctors, but they all arrived too late. Marcus was already gone. They wrapped him carefully, as if that made a difference. My wife collapsed to the floor. I helped her up, but couldn't even hold myself together. When the sun started peeking through the window, I called my parents. I thought, for the first time, they would react like grandparents. I was wrong. My mother answered, yawning. I told her Marcus had died. I said it plain. No pauses. There was silence. Then her voice. "This Saturday? But it's your sister's birthday." I froze. I didn't understand. Was that all she had to say? I repeated with a broken voice that the funeral would be that Saturday, and that I wanted them there. Not for me. For Marcus. She replied without a hint of emotion. "We've already paid for everything, son. The food, the venue, the show. It would be a shame to cancel for something so sad." Something so sad. Was that how she referred to her grandson's death? I felt a wave of nausea. I hung up, ran to the bathroom, threw up, with rage, with disgust, with helplessness. They didn't call the rest of the day, not to ask how we were, not to check if they had dreamed of him. The night before the funeral, they called again. My father this time. He tried to sound understanding. "We hope you understand. We don't want to disappoint anyone else." Anyone else? He said that, as if my 8-month-old son was less important than his sister's birthday guests. I didn't answer. I hung up. I didn't want to hear their soulless voices again. Saturday was gray. It rained, as if the sky knew it had to be quiet. The funeral was intimate but full of love. My wife's parents never left our side. Friends, colleagues, neighbors. Everyone came. Everyone except them. When I placed Marcus's urn in the niche, my best friend touched my shoulder. He showed me his phone. Instagram stories. Katie dancing in a red dress. My mother laughing, glass in hand. My father posing with the cake. Songs playing, laughter, emojis, fireworks. While I held a white urn the size of a shoebox, they were posting boomerangs of toasts. That was the exact moment I stopped having parents. That moment. Not a second before, not a second after. A whole week went by without the phone ringing. No visits, no flowers, nothing, not even a text message. The whole world seemed frozen in grief, except them. When my phone finally rang, I saw the name, Mom. I hesitated to answer, but a part of me still wanted to understand, wanted to hear an, "I'm sorry," a, "How are you?" something human. But no, as soon as I answered, her voice sounded cheerful, even enthusiastic. "Do you want to come see the photos from Katie's birthday? They turned out beautiful." Silence. And as if that wasn't enough, she added, like she was asking for bread. "Bring something sweet, please. There's no cake left." I hung up. I said nothing. I just squeezed the phone so hard I felt it crack, and then I screamed, not out of anger, out of disappointment, something that hurt more than any words. My mother had traded her dead grandson for a tray of cake. That very afternoon, my Aunt Patricia came by. She's always been the black sheep of the family, the one who says things without a filter. When she heard what happened, her face changed. "How come they didn't go to Marcus's funeral? And on top of that, they dared to invite you to see photos." She stood up, grabbed her purse, and said just 2 words. "I'll be right back." I don't know what she told them, but that night, everything started. First, my cousin called me, then a distant aunt, then my younger sister's husband, all repeating the same phrase. I can't believe it. I can't keep talking to them. One by one, the family turned their backs on my parents. The truth had come out. And my parents couldn't bear the shame. That's when the harassment began. My mother called my wife's workplace and spoke with her direct boss. I just want to warn you that my daughter-in-law is emotionally unstable. She lost a child and hasn't sought help. The next day, my father did the same, but with me. My son is acting strange, unstable. I'm afraid he might do something irresponsible. You should keep an eye on him. They tried to paint us as crazy, like the pain made them victims and us the aggressors, because we didn't forgive them for not being there when we buried our son. But the worst was yet to come. Katie showed up at our door one Wednesday afternoon, with a fake smile and a gift bag in her hands. Hi, I came to bring you this. I opened it. Inside, I found printed photos of her party, balloons, selfies, cake, and a pink plastic headband, the same one she wore that day. Maybe seeing how nice the celebration was will help you with your grief, she said, seriously. My wife, who hadn't cried in days, pushed her so hard that Katie fell backwards, hitting the dining table. It was a hard thud, and for the first time in many days, I swear I smiled. Katie got up furious. I'm going to sue you. I looked her in the eyes. With a calm I didn't feel, I said, you have 3 seconds to get out of this house. If not, I'll throw you out the window. And that wasn't a metaphor. That night, when the phone rang and I saw it was them, I knew. They weren't calling out of remorse. They were calling to control. I answered. My father was the first to speak, with that dry voice he used when he thought he was right. How could you let your wife attack your sister? I stayed silent for a few seconds. I felt my blood boil, but my voice came out colder than ever. I wish I could erase every trace of you from my life. Don't ever call me again. And when you die, please don't look for me at your funerals. I hung up, blocked their numbers, and with that, I blocked years of emotional manipulation. Days later, the rest of the family knew everything. My Aunt Patricia, the same one who confronted my mother, was the one who told the truth. There was no scandal, just silence. First, they stopped inviting my parents to family lunches. Then, they removed them from group chats. And finally, they stopped answering their calls. Katie tried to find comfort on social media, but it was useless. Comments like, "So that's how you celebrated while your nephew was being buried?" forced her to close her accounts. The party photos disappeared. The pastel colors, the balloons, the smiles, erased. Katie had to move away. She said she couldn't stand the looks, but what she really couldn't stand was the truth. My parents lost more than a child. They lost their world. The clubs where they bragged about their perfect family no longer wanted them. Family Sundays were replaced by lonely afternoons. They became ghosts in their own community. And just when I thought I'd never see them again, they knocked on the door. It was an ordinary Saturday, 3 months after everything. My father's eyes were red, and my mother looked 10 years older. We were wrong, he said. We'd do things differently this time. For a second, I hesitated. I wanted to believe there was some truth in that regret. How would you do it differently? I asked. And then he answered, maybe we would have left the funeral early to catch some of the party. I stared at him. I didn't know whether to laugh or cry. At that moment, I understood it wasn't about mistakes. It was about priorities. And we were never first. My mother tried to mention Marcus. I cut her off immediately. Don't say his name, ever again. You have no right to speak it. I watched them get into the car and drive away for the last time. And that's when I knew something, finally, had ended. Today, 3 years later, my wife is pregnant. Not as a replacement, but as a miracle that came after a storm that almost destroyed us. My parents don't know, and they never will, because Marcus didn't just lose his life. He also lost the chance to have grandparents who chose him. And I, finally, learned something. Love is not begged for, not even from those who gave you life.